Well, welcome to this episode of Wealth Coherence. I'm so thrilled that I get to introduce you to Damien Steyn, who is coming to us right now from Cape Town, South Africa. And I had the chance to learn about Damien through Anne Klein and a conference she gave for family offices in South Africa. And his speech about the soul of family offices and the importance of understanding how the next gen is really interested in more than just wealth preservation, but also impact, really impacted me. And I invited him to join me to talk a bit about his experience with wealth coherence and what he sees in this space. And I'll let you introduce yourself, Damien. I'll just say that Damien has years of experience in the financial world. And so this is going to be an episode focusing on the confluence of money and love and family and coherence. So welcome, Damien.
Thank you, Emily. It's a real pleasure to be here today. So I'm Damien Steyn, and I am both Mauritian and South African. So I've always lived in between South Africa and Mauritius throughout my life. So I think that gave me a bit of a perspective as to two different realms in the global world and always kind of shifting from one realm to the next. So I'm basically, I have family in South Africa, family in Mauritius. So always being between the two, you learn from both the families and then getting involved in the asset management realm, the financial realm afterwards. I think being able to consolidate those hemispheres and bring it into one in the family office space. And I think this is where we are starting to engage is because of Anne Klein's the International Family Officers Summit. Well, I was fortunate enough to give a perspective on the family office space through the way in which myself, being a millennial, sees the world, and it's continuously evolving. So, and I think it's going to be a very interesting talk because my worldview or my point of view has been shaped through my journey, and my journey obviously is pretty traditional through the schooling system and through different schooling systems in South Africa and Mauritius, then university at the University of Cape Town, and then really just kind of having a bit of a, I say this with inverted commas, but a bit of an awakening in that sense, an awakening. And what I mean by that is just sometimes in the most challenging times in people's lives where it may seem like complete darkness, it's there where you have your greatest realizations. And this is where through when I found like that I had zero time to myself, and I was almost kind of immersed in the working realm at the same time studying. And then I'm just want to have fun, now I've got to be all serious and go and work and study all these exams and study all this material. But then that's when I just gave myself 2 minutes per night just to focus on my breath. And that's when was awakened to the idea of meditation, which then gave me a different kind of awareness. I wasn't just living on autopilot. I was actually able to to be and observe my thoughts. I was able to realize, okay, well, I can actually choose what I think. I can actually choose what thoughts I imagine within my own mind. And therefore, based on the energy that I put out, it's Newton's laws. The energy you put out is the energy you get back. It just made sense to me. It was like, wow, I actually can think of anything. I can think of a pink monkey on a horse, and and so therefore it gave me the ability to create as opposed to being a victim of my circumstances. So therefore, circumstances are happening out there, but it's the way in which I respond to what's happening out there that is my responsibility. It's my ability to respond to what is going out there. So I prefer to respond in a way that I prefer, that empowers me so that I can emit a frequency of confidence, of love, of appreciation, and all these warmer feelings. Yes, sometimes you do fall into the victim mentality or you do go through the challenges, but being aware of your state of being is the first step to being able to change it towards a state of being that you prefer. Sometimes we feel very dense. So some of the tools that I use, for example, to get into what I say alignment, is
Mhm.
10 push-ups, do breathing
Mhm.
techniques, jump in the cold ocean, go for a run. This is just that. So that journey led me to then, after graduating, I sold everything I had, cars, wetsuits, whatever I could sell to get a bit of money so that I could buy a one-way ticket to wherever, which in my case it was from South Africa to China.
Okay.
And and then that's when the journey, I just went where my spiritual compass guided me, which was, call it my heart, but just intuition, but listening to that inner voice saying, go left. I know you want to go right, but go left in this moment. So I would trust that. And that journey led me on a beautiful journey of connecting with different aspects of myself that I would have never given myself the opportunity to connect with. And
Mhm.
that journey continued, and there were ups, there were downs, but generally I always was aiming to go up through the ups and downs.
And that's a coherent wave, right? Like when we talk about coherence, and it's allowing that stillness within yourself to be there so that you can hear that inner voice, right? And then you have the
Sure.
wherewithal to act on it, and then you're in that flow. It's a state of flow. And did you find that you had remarkable synchronicities start happening when you would do that, or like these different people would show up in your life? It's like, wait, I was just talking about that. Like, did that start happening more and more, or how did you experience that?
Absolutely. Synchronicities, that is where I think wealth coherence comes into place, because the synchronicities brought in exactly what it is I needed to experience for me to continue my journey. And
Yeah.
therefore, the point about wealth is, I mean, okay, I call it this abundance, right?
Hmm.
The ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. It can come in the form of money, it can come in the form of a gift. It can come in the form of someone just appearing on your path with an apple that you just thought of and you feel like, and oh,
Hmm.
there it is. And so, yes, absolutely. And in that
Yeah.
state, because you are choosing to see the world in a way that you prefer, because you give it the meaning, you give you give it meaning. So
Hmm.
the out there is just one neutral template world, a beautiful template, but you give it meaning. So whether or not
Hmm.
you see something like, I don't know, a donkey hitting a parrot, you can give it the meaning you prefer, and therefore you will experience the meaning that you give it. And when you
Hmm.
experience it in that way, you're emitting the frequency that you give it.
And I would say a really good example is, when you're thinking about wealth coherence in life, if you have something that looks like a failure, or you've made a mistake, and you go into, like you were saying, that victim mentality, or that kind of denser mentality, you're going to have a certain life experience related to that. But if you have a approach to it that's more like, oh, what can I learn from this? And what does this mean in terms of, if that door closed, which one's going to open next? And you have this, I'm still going forward with what I'm feeling like I'm supposed to be doing. Thought it was going to look like that, but I guess not. What's it going to look like instead? You have a completely other approach to life, and it's the same event, right? It's a neutral event, and it's really about what's the orientation to it. Like that, that's how I would take what you said and apply it to, like these, the efforting that we do, and the striving, and the way we want to be successful in life. And it has so much to do with our mental attitude and focus related to it, and really having that ability, like you said, to catch where your mood and intentionality and your like orientation is, and then where am I aligned towards the what I'm going for and what I want, or am I focused on where it's going to not take me where I want to go?
Absolutely. And that is a practice.
Hmm.
Like
Oh yeah.
sometimes things out there happen, but to be able to have the mindset where you're so And that's momentum, because at the beginning you might be like, oh, that's terrible, what the heck, this is, oh, and then, but once you catch yourself and then you're like, well, this is actually serving me somehow. How is this serving me? How can I shift this narrative around? And the more you start doing that, the more then it becomes instantaneous, it becomes automatic, so that your lows are almost, you don't go through the lows
Mhm.
as low as you practice to respond in a way, even though something looks,
Mhm.
quite what we would negative, but
Yeah.
you're able to cushion that negative, or that challenging situation, and empower yourself, even if it's just this much. If it just raises that state, or that frequency
Mhm.
just slightly, you're winning.